America, the land of opportunity, the champion of freedom, the shining city on a hill, holding the torch of democracy high for all to see. That's the narrative, right? The story America tells itself and the world. But lately, things have been a little off script. You see, America loves to talk about democracy. It's practically America's favorite word, right up there with freedom and supersize. But when it comes to actually practicing what it preaches, well, that's where things get a little murky. It's like that friend who gives relationship advice but can't seem to hold down a relationship for more than 5 minutes. You know the type. They're full of big ideas and even bigger opinions, but their actions don't always match their words. And that, my friends, is the heart of America's democracy dilemma. It's one thing to preach democracy from the mountaintop. It's another thing entirely to live up to those ideals, both at home and abroad. America has a long and complicated history with democracy, especially when it comes to other countries. Sometimes it's like America sees a country struggling with democracy and thinks, hold my beer, I've got this. But instead of lending a helping hand, America reaches for other tools. We've seen it time and time again. A country elects a leader that America doesn't like. Maybe they're too socialist. Maybe they're too friendly with the wrong crowd. Or maybe, just maybe, they dared to challenge America's interests. Whatever the reason, America decides it's time for a regime change. Now, I'm no historian, but I'm pretty sure overthrowing democratically elected governments isn't exactly in the democracy handbook. It's more like something you'd find in the Dictator's Guide to World Domination. But hey, who needs international law when you've got good old-fashioned American firepower, right? From Latin America to the Middle East, the ghosts of America's interventions past are still felt today.
Remember Chile in 1973? The democratically elected government of Salvador Allende was overthrown in a CIA-backed coup, paving the way for the brutal dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet.
Or how about Iran in 1953? The democratically elected Prime Minister, Mohammad Mossadegh, was ousted in a coup orchestrated by the CIA and British intelligence. His crime? He nationalized the Iranian oil industry, which didn't sit too well with certain Western powers.
These are just a couple of examples in a long and troubling history. And while the US might claim that these interventions were justified in the name of fighting communism or promoting stability, the results often speak for themselves. Instead of spreading democracy, these interventions often led to instability, violence, and resentment toward the United States. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline.
The Trump card democracy takes a hit at home. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Morris, but that was all in the past. Surely America has learned its lesson by now, right?
Well, buckle up, my friends, because things are about to get really interesting. Enter Donald J. Trump, the 45th and 47th President of the United States, a man who seemed to view democracy as more of a suggestion than a requirement.
From questioning the legitimacy of elections to undermining the free press, Trump's first presidency was a masterclass in democratic backsliding. Remember when he lost the 2020 election and refused to concede, claiming widespread voter fraud without a shred of evidence?
Or when he incited a mob of his supporters to storm the US Capitol, an event that shook American democracy to its core. These weren't just the actions of a sore loser. They were a direct attack on the very foundations of American democracy.
And the scary part? A lot of people were totally okay with it. In 2025, Trump is back in office for a second term, and he has a quench for dictatorship. Trump sees democracy as a weak tool and has admiration for the likes of Putin and North Korea. Trump is pushing the limits of presidential powers with his co-president Elon Musk, dismantling institutions that have served the people, and it's shaking the foundations of US democracy. The only thing that prevents President Trump from being an absolute monarch is Congress controls the power of the purse strings, and that is what guarantees the check on the presidency. How will the Supreme Court handle some of the actions President Trump and his billionaire friends have started? We all await how the country will readjust and continue on a path that is steady. A dangerous truth about America. Its democracy is fragile. It relies on norms, on institutions, and most importantly, on a shared belief in the system.
But Trump is chipping away at that belief, sowing seeds of doubt and division that continue to grow today. The result? America is more polarized than ever before.
Trust in government is at an all-time low, and the very idea of democracy is being questioned by a growing number of Americans. It's like watching a house divided against itself.
And as Abraham Lincoln once warned, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's all very concerning, but what does it have to do with the rest of the world?
Well, here's the thing. America's actions at home have consequences abroad. When America, the self-proclaimed champion of democracy, starts looking a little shaky on its own democratic principles, it sends a message to the world. And that message is, do as we say, not as we do.
Imagine you're a country struggling to build a democracy. You're looking to America for guidance, for support, for inspiration. But then you see America backsliding, embracing authoritarian tactics, and undermining its own institutions. What kind of message does that send?
It says that democracy is a game, and America is just another player willing to bend the rules when it suits them. And that, my friends, is a dangerous game indeed. Is there room for another kind of governance besides democracy? Is China and Russia's one-party state a norm to follow? Or will the kingship and chieftaincy systems be the way forward as America slumps into chaotic leadership in this age? Let's all begin to think about how we impact our communities by the way we lead and ultimately how our actions impact others. We do not live in a vacuum, hence we influence one another's decisions. Participate in productive causes, and while at it, think about the kind of world you want the children of today to inherit tomorrow when you are gone. Thank you for watching and following our channel. If you enjoy the content we bring, kindly subscribe and like our channel for more insightful videos.